What's up, everybody? This is Danny Mathematics here with another example to explore. And today, guys, I want to go over example 2 of how to solve equations that have variables on both sides, right? Variables which are the unknown values, which are the x's on both sides, right? We're going to solve equations that have variables on both sides, okay? And basically, guys, what we're trying to do is, guys, we're trying to solve for the unknown value or the variable, which is x, right? There's a particular value of x that x has to be in order to make this whole equation be true. Okay, so in order to make negative 8x plus 32 equal 8 minus 16x, x has to be a particular value in order to make this whole equation true, and we're going to find that out, guys, by following these 4 simple steps that I've made up, okay? All right, so the first thing, guys, we want to do is split the room, okay, or draw a line going through the equal sign, right? So we can clearly see that we have 2 sides to the equation, okay? And then we're gonna follow step 1. Step 1 is to combine like terms on both sides. Combine like terms on both sides. All right, guys, just like in example 1, we can only combine the numbers, regular numbers, right? Or the whole numbers with another number, right? Or another integer or whole number, whatever the number is, right? But we only can combine regular numbers with other regular numbers. And we can only combine coefficients that are in operations with the variable with other coefficients that are in operation with the variable, okay? So once again, guys, we can only combine numbers with numbers and the relationships between coefficients and variables with another coefficient and variable, okay? So let's go ahead and do step 1, which is combine like terms on both sides. On the left side, guys, I cannot combine negative 8x and 32. I cannot combine these values with this value. I cannot do that, okay? So that stays the same. Let me go to the right side. I'm gonna cover this so I can only see the right side. I have 8 minus 16x. I cannot combine 8 with negative 16x. I cannot do that because 8 is just a number and negative 16x is an operation between a coefficient and a variable, okay? So I cannot combine those, guys. So I've successfully completed step 1, even though I didn't have to combine anything, but we passed step 1, okay? Now the next step, guys, is step 2. We're gonna label each value. Either we're gonna give it the heart, which represents a relationship, or we're gonna put an S under it, which represents single, okay? So there's a relationship between negative 8 and x. They're in operation with one another. It's actually saying negative 8 times x, okay? But I cannot solve when I have an unknown value, right? So I only can put negative 8 in x. And once again, they are in a relationship because negative 8 is its own value and x is its own value, and they're in an operation with one another, which is multiplication, okay? So I'm gonna put a heart underneath that, all right? Positive 32. Positive 32 is not attached to an x. So it's not in an operation with x. So I'm gonna put single, right? 8, a positive 8. Once again, it's not in operation with an x or it's not attached to an x. So I'm gonna put an S, okay? And then negative 16x. Once again, negative 16 is in a relationship or an operation with this unknown value of x. So I'm gonna put a heart, okay? So that's how we successfully label each value. Now we're gonna label each side, guys. Remember, guys, always pick the higher coefficient that's attached to x or in a relationship with x. Negative 8 is actually greater than negative 16, all right? So because of that, I'm gonna label this side as the relationship side. It could have been this side too, but you would have been dealing with a lot of negative numbers, okay, as you do your operations. If you're cool with negative numbers, then it really doesn't matter which side you label as your relationship side and as your single side, right? But if you wanna not go through all that negatives and positives, then just always find what coefficient is the greater coefficient that x is in a relationship with. In this case, it's negative 8. And then the opposite side would be a big S for single. All right, so once again, guys, we have completed step 2, which was label each value, right? We gave it these 2 labels, and then we label each side, right? So we're good. Now we're gonna go to step 3. Step 3 is to move values on their correct side. And all you gotta do, guys, is match the symbols that you see. That's it. You're just matching the symbols that you see. If the symbols match, that value or those values will stay on that side. If the symbol does not match, that value has to move to the opposite side, or the values that are in operation with one another has to move to the opposite side, okay? So I'm gonna draw a line because we're doing a lot of moving around, okay? So let's start off with -8 and x. Once again, they're in a relationship with one another or operation with one another, and they're on the relationship side, so they stay. +32 is a single number. It's not attached to an x, so it's single. It's not in a relationship, and it needs to move to the opposite side. So the opposite of saying +32 is -32. So I'm going to subtract 32 on both sides. And on the right side, guys, I can only subtract it from a like term. I cannot subtract it from -16x, but I can subtract it from 8 because 8 is a number just like -32, and they're both like terms, okay? So there you go. And then once again, we can cross out right there. We can cross out right there. All right? So the next one is -16x. Once again, -16 is in their relationship with x, and they are not single. So in order for me to move this to the opposite side, I have to do the opposite operation of what I see. -16x, the opposite of that is plus. It's plus 16x. It's plus 16x. Okay? So they cancel out right here. Okay? And then I have to add 16x to -8x. Okay? So there we go. There we go, guys. So now, guys, all we have to do is just add these two numbers together and combine these two values, right? So I have -8x plus 16x. That is going to be a positive 8x. That's a positive 8x. That's a positive 8x. Okay? That's a positive 8x. Okay? 8 minus 32. 8 minus 32 is a negative 24. $8x equals -24. That's what you should have, guys. Now, we're down to the last and final step, guys. We combine, we move everything to its correct side, combine even more, and now we're down to the last step, which is the breakup, right? So we're gonna break up the coefficient away from the variable, which is x, and how we break up is dividing the coefficient away, okay? So in this particular case, guys, the coefficient 8 is in the relationship with x, which is saying 8 times x, and the opposite of saying 8 times x is 8 divided, x divided by 8, x divided by 8. So we're gonna divide both sides by 8. We're gonna divide both sides by 8, okay? So 8x divided by 8 is this x equals, and then -24 divided by 8 is a -3. Is a -3, okay? So this is the value of x that we have. Now, the next thing that I want us to do, guys, is we're going to check to see if the value of x is correct. We're going to check to see if that value of x is correct. And all we're going to do is we're going to plug in -3 wherever we see an x. It's going to become -3, okay? So now we're going to check to see if that value of x is correct. And we're going to plug in -3 wherever we see an x. So now I'm going to rewrite everything. I have -8 times x. So in this case, it would be -8 times -3, right? Plus 32 equals, and then the opposite side, guys, I have 8 minus 16 times x, which is times -3. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is, guys, I'm gonna solve both sides to see if both sides equal. If they both equal, then we have the correct value of x. If they don't equal, then somewhere down the line we did something wrong, okay? So remember, order of operations, we always multiply first before we divide. So I have a negative times a negative, which is a positive. So -8 times 3 is a positive 24. So I have a positive 24 plus 32. And 24 plus 32, if I'm not mistaken, is 56. Is 56. Okay? It's 56, okay? Now, we're gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. We're gonna do the same thing on the opposite side, okay? So once again, order operations, we multiply first before we subtract or add. All right, I have a negative times a negative, which is a positive. So negative 16 times a negative 3 is a positive 48. It's a positive 48. So I have 8 plus a positive 48. And 8 plus 48 is 56. Okay? So if both sides equal, guys, then that means that this particular value of x is correct or true, however you want to say that, guys. This right here is the correct value of x because it makes the equation true. Okay? So once again, guys, this is example 3 of how to solve equations with variables on both sides. And remember, guys, any type of equation, guys, it's going to be the same steps. It's going to be the same steps. It might be an additional step depending on if you're distributing or something else. But these steps apply to all equations if you're trying to solve for the unknown variable or the unknown value, okay? So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, guys. I will talk to you next time.